Discord server about how I guess our community needs some kind of tribal name identifier. So I guess the way that you handle this normally is with a poll or something. So suggestions have been grumplings, grumpies, stuff like that. So I don't know about this, but love y'all. We'll get this figured out, probably with a poll. I guess that's how it's done. But today, want to get back to our topic of how to tweak your GMing, adjust your GMing for different tables. Because as we said a couple videos ago, if you only GM for people who see the game like you do, then you will not be able to get enough people in because we all get dopamine hits off this game in a different way. So, having said that, in organizing this material and figuring out how to present this to you video by video, I was thinking in this video, I'm going to tell a tale of three tables. So we got three tables in our picture there today. And so these are three tables that we have or have recently had, or actually one of them we're kind of going to have at, because it's kind of forming right now, in our community. They are totally different from each other. None of them is right, none of them is wrong. They're different styles of play. By now, you've probably heard me give my favorite quote about the game from Gary Gygax, that there is no right or wrong way to play this game. That, every table is going to be different. So let's kind of dive in. Now, people out there listening to this may be playing at some of these tables I'm describing. I'm not going to say anything bad because it's not what this is about. This is about how cool and different and unusual and diverse each one of these play styles can be. But if you're like, hey John, was that us? Were you talking about us? Just private message me, okay? But so the first table that I want to talk about is a table that is very influenced. I mean, they make lots of references to it all the time, so they're very influenced by the Amazon Vox Machina series. And really, it's just like you get the same feels, you get the same chuckles and laughs, and same silliness, same atmosphere. They do a great job of recreating that play style, that feel. So I guess we can say, thank you, Matt Mercer, for that Matt Mercer effect that's affected our game and stuff. The combat is light. It's not intense strategic chess master combat. Each one of the characters is, kind of flamboyant, and they're starting to. It's been going for several weeks now, so they're starting to develop some different directions. Nothing that's really going to split the party, but just enough to create kind of that little bit of drama and feels like from the cartoon. So it really feels like you're watching an episode of Vox Machina. I have a blast. We laugh a lot. That's one style. So for table number two, I guess I'm going to give it away because we did that last night. So I'm recording this on February 24th. So if you do your detective work and try to figure out, you want to do the math and figure out what table that was, then go ahead. But that table is also very different and going to be different from the third and last table too. The second table, they are currently in the Feywild, and it's not just a little Feywild one-off. I am running a product that I found at drivethrurpg.com that I am very, very impressed with, that I am thinking about reviewing, and this isn't supposed to be a review channel. Like, I wasn't thinking I was going to do any reviews, but I guess once in a while, if I love something that much, maybe I'll do a review. Because I just think it's an excellent, excellent product, and it's at drivethrurpg.com for pay what you want. And so it is definitely, it's better than a lot of high-priced products out there, especially WotC products. But the but this in this Feywild game, if I remember correctly, we didn't roll initiative even once last night. Now, maybe somebody who was there could, hey, John, yeah, there was that one time. But, if we did, it was maybe once. I don't think we did all. So there was no combat that I can recall, no initiative, nothing like that. But it's a 4-hour session, and things happened an archfey and a goddess from the outer planes, so not fey, the different divinity system. But an archfey and a goddess, got together to get married. and the Archfey closed his Fey domain in the Feywild and just kind of moved in with the new misses, in the Outer Planes. And so his Fey domain in the Feywild collapsed last night. Now it was gentle. It was not some violent collapse. There was no damage involved or anything. But there was kind of like this sad little moment where the Archfey's court just kind of wandered off into the woods. It's sad that their lord had left them. But but there was a lot of negotiation. There's a lot of that's not the only Archfey they talked to last night. There was and other NPCs trying to maneuver maybe the self interests of some of the high level and powerful NPCs, either high level in government or just high level because it's a game, but trying to maneuver some of the different interests of people to go for the greater good of a community. So in this storyline, and this is the setup, so this isn't spoilers of what happens down the line, but there's a town from Forgotten Realms, and it gets mysteriously transported and stuck in the Feywild. And of course, the people would kind of like to go back to a regular Prime Material world like Forgotten Realms. And so the party, is kind of trying to solve the mystery of how the town got there in the first place and figure out how to send it back and try to manage the needs of this Prime Material town that is somehow now plopped down in the middle of the Feywild, in the middle of like 4 different Fey domains. Um, and so that we didn't even really use a map. So somebody came in, hadn't met him before, just to watch, and I I hope they weren't expecting a dungeon crawl because it was not a dungeon crawl. It was I think we just used one map of the town, and then they wandered out into the Feywild, and uh, it's just theater of the mind type stuff. There was no map, no dungeon crawl, nothing like that. And the party actually departed from Saw. So this is SAW. So this is something that I just made sense to me. So I started saying it recently that in gaming, for the past several years, we've had this thing RAW, RAW, rules as written. And so I've been thinking about SAW, SAW, story as written. And so in the SAW, SAW, story as written, traveling through the Feywild is kind of a challenge because the party is not planar natives, and so there's these random tables, and they can get lost, and weather can go backwards, and the seasons can just change on them, and they can go around in circles unless you have a native guide. And so they actually wound up with a native guide that was not SAW, was not story as written. That NPC was not put there by the writers for that purpose. But as the story unfolded and as I game mastered it, it just naturally, organically happened. So they wound up getting a native guide through roleplay that was not actually provided in SAW, story as written. So that Feywild type campaign of politics and romance and discussion and roleplay, that is not everybody's cup of tea, especially not the people. It's awesome, I loved it, but the next people we're going to talk about at table number 3. So table number 3 kind of represents like two types of two tables recently. There was a table that was forming, and it didn't get together because different people had different schedule conflicts and things. But this table was like hardcore old school. Okay, this table, they were setting expectations for me. They were setting expectations for the GM. They were like, John, we want to go through at least 5 combats an hour, and we really don't want to waste a bunch of time talking to NPCs. Okay, and so you can tell right there by their word choice that waste time talking to NPCs. So they think talking to NPCs is wasting time. And in their verbiage, the way that they were older players, and they said, D&D is a combat game. D&D is a strategy game. It's a war game. So to them it is, because we all get our dopamine hits different ways. And so I remembered when I was a teenager and 20 something, playing D&D with the military guys from Whiteman Air Force Base. And I remember how they used to play. I'll do a video on that. That'll be a great video. But obviously we don't have time to go down that rabbit hole right now. But so when these guys set the expectation that they wanted to have 5 combats an hour and stuff, and they didn't want to spend a lot of time talking to NPCs, and they like to have some dungeons in their Dungeons and Dragons. They wanted maps and rooms and treasure to loot. You know, that is a different feel. And so now that table didn't come together, but I'm gonna do a little plug here. There is a game that we are starting soon. We haven't picked a night for it yet. The Save or Die table to satisfy people that have been asking about this kind of game. So we are looking for the right time in the schedule in the week to put what we call Save or Die, bring extra characters. You know, high risk, high reward. You know, that style of play, but that's not going to be, you know, for everybody. You know, I remember, you know, in the 80s when Lolth, Queen of the Demon Web Pits came out, there was a warning at the beginning of the book that said that DMs should let the players know that there will be a high chance of death in that adventure. So if you really, you know, you might want to play an alternate character. You might want to not want to use your favorite character in that adventure. Of course, and I ran that many times, and I gave that warning, but nobody ever accepted the warning because you see, psychologically, if you you know, brought an alternate character to Queen of the Demon Web Pits because you didn't, you know, want to risk your main character, that meant that you didn't think your main character could handle it. You know, nobody would want to admit that their main character was, you know, a little puffball that couldn't handle, you know, the rugged, uh, you know, hardcore adventure. Or maybe people just didn't want to admit that they were that, you know, attached to their character or something. Who knows? But you know, nobody ever took that warning. Everybody used their favorite characters. Some of them did die too, uh, permanently. But that is a different style of play as well. So that's the tale of three tables. There's the cartoon fun table, which is a whole barrel of laughs, and then there's the intense political intrigue role play table that they had in the Feywild. It kind of reminds me of, you know, White Wolf, World of Darkness with the Camarilla and all that stuff. And then there's just the traditional old school. This is our map. We're going through the rooms. We're fighting stuff. You know, D&D is a combat game type thinking. So three different tables. So what we're going to do here in the next few videos is we're going to hone in on, as a DM, how you can kind of adjust your mindset to work on something that's going to please and retain each of these three types of tables. Because if you only can DM for your style that you like, you're not going to have enough people to go pro and make money and pay your bills. So that is it for today. If you want to like and subscribe, find us on Discord down below. Join our Patreon down below to get personal coaching, where I will call you on Discord or the phone. Or if you just want to game with us, there's a link for that down below as well. So in the meantime, I'll see you around the gaming table. Grumblings? Are we really going with that? Oh my goodness.